In the world of music, fame and fortune often seem like everlasting companions. But what happens when the applause fades and the spotlight dims? We're talking about 20 musicians who are now about 80 years old and how life has taken some bittersweet turns for them. Grab some tissues. This one's gonna hit hard. 20. Paul McCartney. Paul McCartney, 81, is a musical legend, but he has also suffered a lot in his life. He has achieved fame and fortune, but he has also faced many challenges and losses. He was born in Liverpool, England in 1942. He lost his mother to a heart attack when he was only 14, and his father was a musician and a salesman. He met John Lennon in 1957 and they formed the Beatles, the greatest band ever. They wrote and sang songs that touched millions of people, such as Yesterday, Hey Jude, and Let It Be. The band broke up in 1970 after being famous for 10 years. Paul McCartney's solo music career began in 1970 with a new band that included his wife Linda and other musicians. The band produced more popular songs such as Band on the Run, Live and Let Die, and Mole of Kintyre. McCartney also composed music for films and classical music such as The Family Way and Liverpool Oratorio. He received many awards and honors such as an Oscar, a Kennedy Center honor, and a Nobel Prize. He supported various causes such as animal rights, environmentalism, and peace. Paul McCartney's personal life was complicated and hard. He had 4 marriages and 8 children. His first wife, Jane Asher, was an actress and a muse. They met in 1963, got engaged in 1967, and broke up in 1968 after she discovered his affair with Francie Schwartz. His second wife, Linda Eastman, was a photographer and a musician. They married in 1969 and had 4 children. When she died of cancer in 1998, McCartney said Eastman was the love of his life. His third wife, Heather Mills, was a model and an activist. They married in 2002 and had a daughter, and divorced in 2008 after a bitter and costly legal battle. His fourth wife, Nancy Chevelle, is a businesswoman and a philanthropist. They married in 2011 and are still together. Paul McCartney had 2 other children from previous relationships. Along the way, he lost some friends and family, such as John Lennon, George Harrison, and his father, but he also maintained many friendships with other musicians and celebrities. He also dealt with some legal disputes and controversies, such as his lawsuits with his former manager and his former label, and his accusations of plagiarism and tax evasion. 19. Mick Jagger. Mick Jagger is a rock legend. At 80 years of age, he has achieved fame and fortune, but has also faced personal and professional challenges. One of the biggest losses for Mick Jagger was the death of his longtime girlfriend, Loren Scott, who committed suicide in 2014. He was devastated by her death and canceled his tour with the Rolling Stones. He said that he was struggling to understand why she ended her life and that he would never forget her. The death of his father Basil, who died of pneumonia in 2006, was also upsetting for Jagger. He was very close to his father, who supported his musical career and attended his concerts. His father was a great inspiration and a role model for him. For Mick Jagger, the relationship between him and Keith Richards, the Rolling Stones frontman and guitarist, was turbulent and taxing. Their collaboration was creative and successful, but also full of conflicts and disagreements. Public criticism and silent treatment were common between them. They described their relationship as love-hate and compared themselves to brothers who fought and made up. A big challenge for Mick Jagger was his legal battle with his former manager Alan Klein, who claimed the rights to his songs. Klein had managed the Rolling Stones from 1965 to 1970 and had acquired the rights to their material recorded before 1971. The Stones left Klein and their label, Decca Records, in 1970 and formed their own label, Rolling Stones Records. However, Klein continued to release albums of their old material and demanded 100% of the royalties and publishing rights. The Stones sued Klein, accusing him of deceiving and defrauding them. The lawsuit was filed in 1971 and settled out of court in 1975. The Stones gave up the royalties and publishing rights in exchange for a lump sum payment of $1 million. 18. Stevie Wonder. Stevie Wonder, 73, is a musical genius who overcame blindness and adversity. He became blind shortly after birth, but he did not let his disability stop him from pursuing his passion for music. He released his first album when he was 12 and had his first hit single when he was 13. He became one of the most awarded, successful, and influential musicians of the 20th century and a pioneer of soul, R&B, pop, funk, and jazz genres. Some of the most amazing and innovative music in history was written and produced by Stevie. Albums such as Songs in the Key of Life, Inner Visions, and Talking Book were seminal. He also fought for causes such as civil rights, anti-apartheid, and disability awareness. But Stevie Wonder also suffered many health problems and challenges in his life. He was in a coma after a car crash in 1973. He had a kidney transplant in 2019 and a cancer scare in 2020. His personal life was complex and diverse. Married 3 times, had 9 children, and lost some loved ones. He also faced some legal disputes and controversies. 17. Bob Dylan. Bob Dylan is the voice of a generation, but his life has also been marked by change and creativity. He has inspired millions with his words and music, but he has also followed his own vision and expression. Born 82 years ago as Robert Allen Zimmerman in Duluth, Minnesota, religion did not play a big role in his life, but blues and gospel music influenced him. He adopted the name Bob Dylan, liking the sound of it. He relocated to New York City and pursued a career as a folk singer in Greenwich Village. Fame soon followed with songs like Blown in the Wind, The Times They Are A-Changin', and Like a Rolling Stone. His songs reflected the social and political issues of his era, but he rejected the role of a leader or a spokesman. He experimented with different genres and styles, switching from acoustic to electric guitar. A motorcycle accident in 1966 made him retreat from the public eye for a while. In 1970, he embraced Christianity and produced several albums of gospel music. He received the Nobel Prize in Literature in 2016 for his poetic expressions within the great American song tradition. A complex and diverse personal life accompanied him. A heart attack claimed his father in 1968, and it deeply affected him. In 1965, he wed his first wife, Sarah Lowndes, and they parented 4 children. A turbulent marriage ended in divorce in 1977. He tied the knot with his second wife, Carolyn Dennis, in 1986, and they had a daughter. They parted ways in 1992. A son was born to him and Ruth Tyrangiel, his longtime partner, whom he did not marry. He loves and supports his 6 children. He has also kept many friendships with other musicians and celebrities. He has also dealt with some legal disputes and controversies, such as his lawsuits with his former manager and his former label, and his allegations of plagiarism and tax evasion. 16. Eric Clapton. Eric Clapton is a guitar genius who is also a man who has faced unimaginable personal grief. He lost his 4-year-old son Connor in a tragic accident in 1991. For many years, he struggled with alcoholism, drug addiction, and depression. He endured the pain of unrequited love, betrayal, and divorce. He witnessed the death of some of his closest friends and musical collaborators such as Jimi Hendrix, Duane Allman, and George Harrison. Through it all, he never gave up on music. Music was his salvation, his therapy, his passion. He poured his emotions into his songs, creating some of the most memorable and influential tunes in rock history. Clapton explored different genres from blues to reggae to pop. He worked with other great artists such as B.B. King, Bob Dylan, and Cream. Countless guitarists and fans were amazed with his skill, diversity, and expression. At 79, Eric Clapton is a living legend, but he is also a human being. Life has tested him with ups and downs, but he has grown from them. He has conquered his troubles and has attained joy and serenity. Through his music and his charity work, he has contributed to the world. He has proven that music can heal, inspire, and unite us. When it seems hopeless, he has proven that life is valuable. 15. Neil Young. Neil Young, 78, is a singer-songwriter and legendary guitarist, but his life is full of grief and pain. He has inspired millions with his music, but also paid a high price for his fame. Born in Canada, the musician moved to the U.S. in the 1960s. Buffalo Springfield was the folk rock band he played in, and later he formed Crosby, Stills, Nash & Young. Solo albums like Harvest, After the Gold Rush, and Rust Never Sleeps were also his achievements. Different genres, from rock to country to grunge, were his experiments. Songs like Ohio, Southern Man, and Rockin' in the Free World expressed his social and political views. He became a voice of the counterculture and an advocate for the environment and peace. But he also faced many challenges and controversies, such as his lawsuits with his record labels, his criticism from his fans and peers, and his rejection of his awards and honors. Personal losses and difficulties plagued him, such as his father's death, his son's death from cerebral palsy, and his divorce from Peggy. Many relationships failed, and he fathered 3 children from 2 different women. Depression, addiction, and health problems such as epilepsy, aneurysm, and polio also troubled him. 14. Joni Mitchell. Born Roberta Joan Anderson in Fort Macleod, Alberta, the 80-year-old musical icon faced polio and poverty as a child. Music was her refuge, and she changed her name to Joni Mitchell after marrying Chuck Mitchell, whom she divorced later. She moved to Toronto and became a folk singer. She rose to stardom with songs like Both Sides Now, Chelsea Morning, and Big Yellow Taxi. She led the counterculture and spoke for the environmental and feminist movements, but she also encountered challenges and controversies, such as her switch from folk to jazz, her feud with Rolling Stone magazine, and her rejection of the music industry. She faced personal losses and difficulties, such as her father's death, her daughter's adoption and reunion, and her failed relationships with famous men like Graham Nash, James Taylor, and Leonard Cohen. Depression, addiction, and health problems such as aneurysm, Morgellons disease, and a mild case of polio troubled her. She coped with her grief and pain by making music and painting. 13. Diana Ross. Diana Ross, 79, is the supreme diva. She has enchanted millions with her words and music. Born in Detroit, Michigan, she faced poverty and violence as a child. She joined the Supremes, Motown's most successful act in the 1960s and one of the world's best-selling girl groups of all time. She led pop culture and symbolized glamour and elegance. Challenges and controversies plagued her, such as her rivalry with the Supremes, her group departure, her record label lawsuits, and her media and public criticism. She faced personal losses and difficulties such as her father's death, her divorce from Robert Silverstein, and her daughter's estrangement, whom she had with Berry Gordy. Her many relationships failed, and she dated famous men such as Gene Simmons, Ryan O'Neal, and Arnie Nass Jr., who perished in a climbing accident. Diana Ross also struggled with depression, addiction, and health problems such as anorexia, breast cancer, and arrests for DUI. 12. Cliff Richard. In British music, Cliff Richard is a legend. Throughout his more than 65 years of singing, he has sold millions of recordings worldwide. For his music, he has also received numerous accolades and prizes. He is a decent man who serves the underprivileged and loves God. However, he has not had an easy or joyful life. Cliff Richard's life is tragic in part because he was never in a relationship that lasted. Since converting to Christianity in 1966, he claims to have been celibate and never married. Prior relationships with Jackie Irving and Sue Barker ended badly for him. While he claims they were not lovers, he also shared a 30-year apartment with Bill Latham, his best friend. Talk about his sexuality persisted even after he consistently denied being gay. He expresses his dislike for living by himself and his desire to live with a companion. The fact that Cliff Richard was wrongfully charged with sexual abuse is another tragic aspect of his life. Although he was previously accused of abusing a few people, he consistently maintained his innocence and assisted the police. However, the police raid on his home was seen on TV in 2014 since the media made a huge issue out of it. That was a component of an inquiry into a previous report of alleged sexual assault. He obtained a sizable settlement when he sued the BBC for violating his privacy. In addition, he filed a lawsuit against the police for botching the probe and disclosing material to the press. Although he also prevailed in that case, he claims the entire ordeal has robbed him of 4 years of his life. Cliff Richard has experienced both good and bad things in his life, as well as happiness and suffering. In addition to his many accomplishments in music and religion, he has also endured a tremendous deal of injustice and loneliness. He has faced his challenges head-on, showing courage and strength, but he has also expressed regret and sadness for some of the things he has lost or missed. Though he has helped a lot of people, he has also suffered from some hurt. Though not a joyful one, his life has been great. 11. Keith Richards. The talented and charismatic rocker Keith Richards was born in Dartford, Kent some 80 years ago. Poverty and trouble marked his childhood. He loved music and joined the Rolling Stones, one of history's most successful and influential bands. Keith Richards led the rock and roll culture and symbolized rebellion and excess. Some of the most iconic songs in rock history were written and performed by him. Songs like I Can't Get No Satisfaction, Gimme Shelter, and Sympathy for the Devil. He also played with other legendary musicians such as Chuck Berry, Eric Clapton, and Bob Dylan. He faced many challenges and controversies such as his drug addiction, his arrests and convictions, and his record label lawsuits. Keith was addicted to heroin and cocaine for many years and was arrested several times for drug possession and trafficking. Legal disputes with record labels such as Decca and Virgin over royalties and artistic control plagued him. The media and the public often criticized his lifestyle and appearance and sometimes accused him of racism and sexism. He endured personal losses and difficulties such as his father's death from lung cancer, his son's death from sudden infant death syndrome, and his long marriage to Patty Hansen. Burt Richards was a factory worker who was wounded in World War II. He introduced Keith to jazz music and gave him his first guitar. He died in 2002 at the age of 84. Keith Richards was very close to his father and snorted his ashes mixed with cocaine as a tribute. Tara, Keith's son, was born in 1976 but died in his crib at 10 weeks old. Richards was deeply affected by his death. His marriage to Patty Hansen, a model and actress, has lasted since 1983, but has also faced some difficulties, such as Hansen's battle with breast cancer. Keith Richards, the guitarist of the Rolling Stones, had also many failed relationships. He dated Anita Pallenberg, Marianne Faithfull, and Linda Keith, who were all famous women in the 1960s and 1970s. His relationships were marked by drugs, violence, and infidelity, and none of them lasted long. 10. Rod Stewart. Rod Stewart is a rock legend, but his life has not been a fairy tale. He has faced many challenges, losses, and controversies in his long and successful career. One of the biggest tests for Rod Stewart was his struggle with thyroid cancer, which he was diagnosed with in 1999. The surgery to remove the tumor threatened to damage his vocal cords, and he had to relearn how to sing. He said that the experience made him appreciate his voice more, and he became more involved in charity work for cancer research. Another challenge for Rod Stewart was his turbulent love life. He has been married 4 times and has 8 children from 5 different women. The famous singer and songwriter faced accusations of infidelity, domestic violence, and paternity disputes. He confessed that he failed as a husband and a father in the past and that he felt sorry for some of his actions. He claimed that he has learned from his mistakes and he is now happily married to Penny Lancaster, a model and actress who is 26 years younger than him. Rod Stewart, the famous singer and songwriter, had a controversial music style. He began as a blues and folk singer, then turned into a rock star with hits like Maggie May and Do You Think I'm Sexy? He tried disco, pop, and soul genres, which disappointed some of his fans and critics. Accusations of plagiarism, tax evasion, and lip-syncing hounded him. 9. Carly Simon. Carly Simon had a privileged upbringing, but she also had a lot of pain and insecurity. She grew up in a musical family, but she suffered from a stutter and a learning disability. She started singing with her sister, but soon realized that she wanted to express her own voice. Simon became a successful singer-songwriter in the 1970s, but also faced many challenges and controversies. She married James Taylor, another famous musician, but their relationship was marred by drug abuse and infidelity. They divorced in 1983, leaving her heartbroken and depressed. She had 2 more marriages, but they also ended in divorce. The singer wrote some of the most iconic songs of her generation, but also faced struggles with her artistic identity and credibility. Experimenting with different genres and styles, she alienated some of her fans and critics. Her career was plagued by accusations of plagiarism, tax evasion, and lip-syncing. She confessed to being insecure and sensitive to criticism. Carly Simon has won many awards and accolades, but she also battled with physical and mental health issues. She was diagnosed with breast cancer in 1997 and underwent chemotherapy and a mastectomy. She suffered from anxiety and panic attacks and developed a fear of flying and performing. Carly Simon is a singer-songwriter and at the ripe old age of 80 is a children's author. She has grappled with the complexities of love and life, and she has sung them with honesty and emotion. 8. Barry Manilow. Barry Manilow has a voice that can melt hearts, but his own heart has been broken many times. He has achieved fame and fortune, but has faced loneliness and criticism. He struggled to find acceptance and happiness. Barry Manilow was born in Brooklyn, New York in 1943 as Barry Pincus. His father left when he was a baby, and he later took his mother's maiden name, Manilow. He had a stutter and a learning disability, but had a talent for music. He studied at the New York College of Music and the Juilliard School of Music, and worked as a film editor and a music director for CBS. He met Bette Midler in a nightclub and became her musical director and producer. Manilow also started his own solo career and released his debut album, Barry Manilow, in 1973. He soon became a pop sensation with hits like Mandy, I Write the Songs, Copacabana, and Can't Smile Without You. More than 85 million records have been sold worldwide, and many awards have been won and accolades received. But his success came with a price. He married his high school sweetheart, Susan Dykesler, in 1964, but they divorced 2 years later. He had a secret relationship with his manager, Gary Keefe, for decades, but did not come out as gay until 2017. Manilow said that he feared losing his fans if he revealed his sexuality. 7. Cher. Cher, the pop goddess, has achieved fame and fortune, but at a high cost. She was born as Sherilyn Sarkeesian in 1946 in El Centro, California. Her father, an Armenian-American truck driver, abandoned her when she was a baby. Her mother, a model and actress, remarried several times, but was critical of her and never gave her the love and attention she craved. Cher had a stutter and a learning disability, which made her feel insecure and outcast. She dropped out of high school and moved to Los Angeles, where she met Sonny Bono, a singer and producer, in 1962. They became a successful duo with hits like I Got You, Babe, and a popular TV show, The Sonny and Cher Comedy Hour. They got married in 1964, but their relationship was marred by drug abuse and infidelity. Sonny and Cher divorced in 1975, leaving her heartbroken and alone. Cher launched her solo career and became a pop sensation with songs like Gypsies, Tramps, and Thieves, If I Could Turn Back Time, and Believe. She sold over 100 million records worldwide and won many awards, including an Oscar for her role in Moonstruck in 1987. Her styles and genres range from dance to disco to rock, yet some of her contemporaries and followers have criticized and backfired on her. Cher suffered from low self-esteem, felt ugly and insecure. She underwent several plastic surgeries to change her appearance, but never felt happy with how she looked. Losses and tragedies marked her life, such as the death of her father, the suicide of her ex-boyfriend Greg Allman, the murder of her friend Gianni Versace, and the transition of her son Chaz Bono. 6. Judy Collins. Although Judy Collins, 84, is a folk icon, she has not always had an easy life. Over her long and fruitful career, she has encountered many difficulties and issues. Judy Collins battled with alcoholism and depression, which she developed in the 1970s. Drinking helped her cope with the pressure of fame and the loss of her son Clark, who committed suicide in 1992. She also suffered from bulimia and tuberculosis. With professional help and Alcoholics Anonymous, Collins has been sober since 1978. Her love life was turbulent. She married twice, but both marriages ended in divorce. The singer and songwriter Judy Collins sought love and validation from several famous men, such as Stephen Stills, Leonard Cohen, and Stacy Keach. However, her affairs also caused her and others pain and harm. She confessed that she learned from her mistakes and has been happily married to Louis Nelson, an architect, since 1996. One of the biggest controversies for Judy Collins was her political activism. She was a vocal supporter of the civil rights movement, the anti-war movement, and the environmental movement. She performed in concerts for charity and at protests. During John Lennon's deportation trial, she visited him, and also she provided testimony in the Chicago 7 trial. She claimed the social poets of her era, like Bob Dylan and Phil Ochs, were her inspiration. A few of her supporters, as well as the government, chastised and retaliated against her. She claimed she didn't mind speaking her opinion and that she still supports a number of issues. 5. Tom Jones. Tom Jones was born Thomas John Woodward in 1940 in Pontypridd, Wales. His father was a coal miner and his mother was a housewife. He met his high school sweetheart Melinda Trenchard in 1957 and they married that year. They had their only child Mark, who later became his manager. He started his career as Tommy Scott with the band The Senators, but he soon caught the attention of Gordon Mills, who became his manager and gave him the stage name Tom Jones. He had his big breakthrough with It's Not Unusual in 1965, which became a hit in the UK and the US. This followed with more hits such as What's New Pussycat, Green Green Grass of Home, and Delilah. The theme song for the James Bond movies Thunderball and From Russia with Love were sung by Tom Jones. And in 1966, he won a Grammy for Best New Artist. Jones moved to the US in the late 1960s and became a Las Vegas regular. He also had a TV show, This Is Tom Jones, which ran from 1969 to 1971. With a reputation for being a sex symbol and a womanizer, he admitted to having hundreds of affairs. He cheated on his wife, who stayed loyal to him until her death in 2016. 1987 saw the birth of Jonathan, a hidden son to model Catherine Berkery. Until a DNA test revealed otherwise in 2008, he denied fatherhood. He declared his profound love for his wife and his regret for some of his past deeds. He was accused of plagiarism by songwriter Paul Anka, who claimed that Jones's song She's a Lady was a ripoff of his song My Way. However, the case was settled out of court and Jones was not found guilty of plagiarism. He was also accused of tax evasion by the British government, who claimed that he owed millions of pounds in taxes. However, Jones denied the allegations and said that he paid his taxes in the US where he lived. 4. Dolly Parton. Dolly Parton is a country queen. She was born in 1946 in Tennessee as the fourth of 12 children. Her family was poor and lived in a one-room cabin. She learned to sing and play guitar from her mother and started performing at an early age. She married Carl Dean in 1966 when she was 20 and moved to Nashville to pursue a career in music. She became a successful songwriter and then a solo artist with hits like Jolene, I Will Always Love You, and 9 to 5. A multi-award winner, she also dabbled with pop, rock, and bluegrass music. She became one of the most well-known and major players in country music, having sold over 100 million records globally. But her victory didn't come without a price. She endured misogyny, intimidation, and derision in a male-dominated field. Her taste in music, her cosmetic surgery, and her beauty all drew criticism. Dolly Parton was a lonely and unhappy person in her personal life. She was childless and had experienced several miscarriages. She said she loved her husband even if they were not living together. She had a secret relationship with her best friend Judy Ogle, whom she called her girlfriend, though she insisted she wasn't gay and she denied the rumors. Parton's physical and mental health problems also plagued her. Following surgery and radiation therapy in 1996, she was given a diagnosis of breast cancer. She had anxiety, sleeplessness, and deep depression. 3. Gloria Gaynor. Disco diva Gloria Gaynor was the second of 7 children born in New Jersey in 1949. When she was a child, her father departed, leaving her mother to raise them by herself. She began singing in nightclubs and recording studios since she had a gift for the song. In 1979, she wed Linwood Simon. However, the couple separated in 2005. She became a successful disco singer and had her breakthrough with Never Can Say Goodbye in 1974. She followed with more hits such as I Am What I Am, Reach Out I'll Be There, and Let Me Know I Have a Right. Gaynor won a Grammy for Best Disco Recording in 1980 for I Will Survive, which became her signature song and an anthem for empowerment and resilience. Gloria Gaynor had a difficult musical career. Being a black woman who sang disco led to her being subjected to harassment and discrimination from many in the industry. Additionally, she received a great deal of hostility and criticism from some critics and fans who believed disco to be phony and cheap. Her career was marred by numerous controversies and problems. In 1979, a songwriter accused her of stealing his song I Will Survive, but the lawsuit was dropped. She explained that she sung the song because she enjoyed and could relate to it, and that she was unaware of the legal controversy. In 1986, the IRS claimed she owed $124,000 in unpaid taxes. Claiming to have paid her taxes, she refuted the accusations. In 1989, she made a settlement payment of $60,000. At the 2002 World Music Awards, she was accused of lip-syncing by several fans and reviewers. They alleged that she was using a pre-recorded tape rather than performing live. She refuted the charges, saying that she had a sore throat and that she always sang live. But Gloria Gaynor was hurt and offended by the accusations. 2. John Fogerty. Rock star John Fogerty has endured a great deal of hardship. He was the third of 5 boys born in California in 1945. His mother was a teacher and his father worked in factories. Devoted to music, he began to play the guitar at the age of 12. Along with his brother Tom, he formed a band that he dubbed Creedence Clearwater Revival, CCR. Leading the group and serving as its songwriter, he penned numerous successes, including Fortunate Son and Proud Mary. While writing songs on politics and war, he amassed over 30 million album sales. He was among the most well-known and important people in rock music. He wasn't content, though. In 1972, he split up the band due to a falling out with both his label and his bandmates. After going alone, he encountered numerous difficulties. His previous label filed a lawsuit against him for plagiarism and contract violations. Despite winning the case, he suffered significant financial losses. His musical style and credibility were also criticized. He experimented with various genres and techniques, but lost some supporters and detractors along the way. In addition to being accused of lip-syncing, he was charged with plagiarism and tax evasion. He led an equally dismal and lonely personal existence. After being married to and divorcing his high school sweetheart, he has 3 children. 3 more children were born to him after his second marriage. He was also the father of a daughter from a past relationship. He conveyed his affection for his family in spite of his reservations and sadness. 1. Shirley Bassey. The renowned Welsh vocalist Shirley Bassey has a stunning style and a strong voice. Over 65 years of singing and millions of records sold globally have been her credit. In addition, she has performed Moonraker, Diamonds Are Forever, and Goldfinger, 3 of the James Bond theme songs. In Britain, she has great popularity and respect. But Shirley Bassey has had a difficult and depressing life. She was raised in poverty in Cardiff, Wales by a divorced English mother and a Nigerian father. At 15, she worked at a factory and had 8 siblings. At 16, she became pregnant after beginning to sing in clubs. She raised Sharon, her daughter, by herself. Shirley Bassey was never happy or in true love. She had 2 marriages but had unpleasant husbands in both. Kenneth Hume, her first spouse, was abusive and homosexual. Sergio Novak, her second husband, abandoned her after being unfaithful. Samantha and Mark were her 2 other children, although she wasn't friendly with either of them. Several other relationships didn't end well also. She didn't trust guys and felt nervous and alone. Shirley Bassey experienced loss and tragedy as well. Her mother passed away at age 35 and her father at 22. Samantha, her daughter, died in an automobile accident at the age of 21. Heartbroken, Shirley Bassey put the responsibility on herself. She also struggled with health problems, drinking, and depression. For several reasons, she felt unhappy and guilty. There's been a combination of good and bad, celebrity and turmoil, joy and agony in Shirley Bassey's life. Although she has accomplished incredible things in her music and profession, she has also endured a great deal of personal suffering. She has inspired a great deal of people, but some people have also wounded her. Even if her life has been fantastic, it has never been happy. That's all for the 20 musicians who are now about 80. Their music resonated with millions, but their journey goes far beyond the stage lights. If this video touched you, hit that like button and let us know in the comments which musician's story resonated with you the most. That's all for now. Thank you so much for watching.